All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. We're taking a trip back in time, specifically to the stunning, opulent city of Hyderabad. The year is 1798. Now, picture this. It's a twilight era, long before the rigid walls of the British Empire had, fully hardened against the heart of India. Things were fluid, lines were blurry. The world was changing at breakneck speed. What we're gonna unpack today is it's a breathtaking, completely forgotten story of this intense passion and cultural blending, playing out right on the edge of two clashing worlds.
So here's a question for you. Can love actually bridge two completely incompatible empires? I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as we get into this true life tale. It's a story of a profound passion that literally defied all the established rules of race, religion, and the incoming tide of colonialism. Seriously, this one is going to challenge everything you think you know about this period in history.
Section 1. An impossible meeting.
Now, what's absolutely fascinating is the sheer dramatic contrast between our two protagonists. First, we've got James Achilles Kirkpatrick. He's this young, wildly ambitious British resident at the court of the Nizam. He's an East India Company officer, steeped in the ultra-strict, unyielding protocols of Georgian Britain. And then there's Khair-un-Nissa. She is a sheltered but fiercely intelligent noblewoman, draped in the opulent silks of the Deccani court. She's a Hyderabadi princess whose lineage traces all the way back to the Prophet. By all accounts, these two were just supposed to be geopolitical chess pieces on opposing sides, right? They existed in completely separate universes.
Section 2. The radical crossover. So, when Kirkpatrick first laid eyes on Khair, his rigid Georgian world was just turned completely upside down. But before we even talk about the romance, we have to look at the staggering layer of political intrigue going on in the background. Because beneath his official diplomatic duties for the British Crown, historical archives and local Indian sources point to a massive, massive secret. Kirkpatrick was operating in the dangerous shadows as a double agent. Yeah, you heard that right. While publicly managing affairs for the British, historians theorize he was secretly working for the Hyderabadis. He was using his unique position dealing in confidential cipher correspondence, all to protect the Nizam's court from total British subjugation. So he wasn't just falling for a princess, he was falling for her entire world. And to bridge that immense cultural chasm, Kirkpatrick did something completely radical for a Briton of his rank. He fully crossed over. He ditched his rigid status and just immersed himself utterly in the poetry, the art, and the refined courtesies of the Deccan. I mean, look at what he did. He started wearing the flowing garments of the Mughal nobility. He grew his hair long in the Indian fashion. He mastered Persian and Urdu. He even underwent circumcision. He was literally risking his career, his reputation, his life, all to become someone who could actually exist in Khair-un-Nissa's world.
Section 3. A fleeting paradise. At first, this romance must have seemed like an impossible defiance of empire, race, and religion. But through secret letters, intermediaries, and just fierce courage from both of them, their bond deepened. Despite her youth, Khair's was incredibly brave, and James proved his devotion by putting everything on the line. And against all the odds, in the year 1800, the Nizam's court officially granted permission for their forbidden marriage. They actually managed to successfully blend Islamic traditions with their own quiet devotion.
And this really brilliantly illustrates the ultimate cultural synthesis they achieved. They built this magnificent palace in Hyderabad called the Rang Mahal, which was designed to literally echo paradise on earth. Living in this sanctuary, they had two cherished children, William and Sayabalam. And what's so amazing is how they raised these kids. They were completely immersed in traditional Deccani attire and the rich linguistic and cultural heritage of Hyderabad. They were living, breathing proof that for a brief, shimmering moment, East and West were lovers, not enemies.
Section 4. The Empire Strikes Back.
Now, as much as we all love a happy ending, history's rarely kind to that kind of defiance. The devastating swiftness of their fall is heartbreaking. Just look at how quickly everything unraveled. In 1800, they get married, but by 1805, just 5 years later, the colonial pressure is just too intense, and Kirkpatrick is forced to send their young children away to England for their education. It was a shattering separation that completely fractured their fragile sanctuary. And then, shortly after, in October 1805, Kirkpatrick is summoned away to Kolkata to secure his family's future. But he tragically and mysteriously dies there. He was only 41 years old, and he died before he could ever return to her. Left completely isolated in a rapidly changing world facing intense political suspicion, Khair-un-Nissa travels to Machipalitnam, desperately hoping to find passage to her children. But she never makes it. She passes away there in 1813 in profound grief and solitude. Her brilliant life was extinguished when she was barely 27 years old.
Section 5. A tragic legacy. Though their world completely vanished, swallowed up by the empire, the love of the white Mughal and his Hyderabadi princess, and the legacy carried forward by those children, it actually survives. It's this profound testament to the power of the human heart. As our source material so beautifully puts it, it reminds us that across vast divides of culture and empire, love has always had the power to make strangers see themselves in one another. I want to leave you with this final thought. If two people could bridge such a vast, seemingly insurmountable colonial divide way back in 1798, what other hidden histories of cultural synthesis are we overlooking today? History is absolutely full of these incredible, forgotten moments of unity. It really makes you wonder what else is waiting to be uncovered in the archives, doesn't it? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the history you think you know.